Hello guys, my name is Yan Ying, and in this episode I will talk about the life lessons or perhaps the things that I find really interesting with this new TV series called The Reservation Dogs. It is aired on FX. The Reservation Dogs is directed by Sterling Harjo and Taika Waititi, and that show is genius. And why is that so? And what makes the show really interesting is behind that TV series production, all the crews and actors and helpers, the runners of the show are all Native Americans. And the setting of the show is completely shot in Oklahoma. And I believe that Reservation Dogs has shown so much to the audience, regardless of what people you are. You are American, you are Hispanic, or you are Asians, whatever. And it tells a lot more about what we can understand from our Native American. I would like to give a warning of spoilers alert. Let's start with the 8 interesting facts from each episode that I've learned in Reservation Dogs Season 1. Episode 1. Res Dogs. What I've learned in Episode 1 is that it shows that the teenagers of Oklahoma, who are Indians themselves, are really keen to move out to the state of California in order to have a better life that they expected it to be. And there's nothing much left in Oklahoma in their Indian community, and they wanted something more fancy and glamorous, things that they think that they could make it. And this episode made me realize that we don't often realize the beauty of things, especially at the place that we are currently in. And we always think that the grass is greener on the other side, regardless other country, other state, or other people's family. It's just human nature that we always perceive things to be better on the other side, and we always wanted to try to make it and to try to explore and see if there's some place that suits better for us. And we all wanted to work towards making the change in our life. Second episode, Indian Clinic. Indian Clinic. So it's like Indian Clinic. Yeah, it took me a while to understand what they have been going on about Indians throughout the show, and now I realized that it was read as Indian. So in this episode, really it's just facts here and there that I've learned that I resonate with life. Is that one, you can see that so many workplaces are always understaffed and people are always underpaid for that role, that they are taking multiple roles, playing different hats, and that is the doctor in the clinic serving all the Indians community, and he's just hopping room to rooms, and he's a doctor of everything. Second beautiful thing in this episode, I mean the first isn't beautiful, but the second beautiful thing is where she's showing the little bit of kindness in life that all of us needed to show. And it's where the part that Cheese is just playing along with the grandma that thought that he is her grandson, and he just chilled there all day with grandma, talking to her, playing along and not bursting her bubble, and they're just looking up in the sky. And that's, I don't know, such a beautiful scene to witness. It's just so heartwarming to know that little kindness goes a long way. And the third episode is Uncle Brownie. What I've learned particularly interesting in this episode is we need to learn to accept betterment in our lives as we get older. The world evolves, but old memories can stay with you, and that makes you you. And cultural wise, what I've learned in this episode is that owl happens to be a bad sign for the Native Americans. So it is a sign of evil, something like that. So like when they show the scene of the owl, they kind of like blurred the eyes, and it was shown at the house of Uncle Brownie's when they go there. Episode number 4. What about your dad? And this episode, I learned that the people that you really love and trust can really hurt you back over and over and over again. And that is what happens to Bear, where his famous rapper father is coming over to his town to perform a show at the clinic, and Bear himself simply just got super excited about meeting his dad again, who never shows up every time they intend to meet. And the next lesson is we always often dismiss the best advice around us that are meant to protect us from any possible harm, which is probably from your friends, from your family, and that can be seen from how Laura, Bear's mom, for telling Bear that not to keep his hopes too high up, and he's blinded by the excitement of his dad coming over, so he went ahead to get a beaded medallion. And apparently with the beaded medallion, it was an Indian community accessories or things that they do as their tradition. So Bear decided to get a beaded medallion that looks like a mic, supposedly looks like a mic, and I think that's where they really inserts the humor of a beaded medallion. And Bear decided to get one for his dad, spending 100, and Laura got so upset about it that he's using the money of the funding to California to fulfill his personal dreams. But at the end of the day, he just got disappointed. Episode number 5. Come and Get Your Love. This song, to me, was a song back then. It was just a song that I listened when I was a kid, when I was born, all the way till I'm 26, until the day that I watched Reservation Dogs and I learned this song was sang by a band called Redbone, and the band consists of Native Americans, Mexican Americans, and they have made this song a wonder, a hit, and I'm glad I know it today. And this episode also shows why people do what they do. Everyone do their thing with a purpose in their life. They have found their true purpose and they wanted to serve it. And that's where we can see from Big. Big, he totally devotes his life to be a light horse. And the term light horse itself was the name given by the 5 civilized tribes of United States to their mounted police force. So you can see that it was actually cowboys sitting on horses. But now, of course, things change up and they still uses the name light horse for Indians community police. So in this episode, you can also see why Big is so dedicated to be a light horse. He happens to also encounter an Indian folklore, which is the deer lady when he was a kid. So the deer lady just mysteriously take down the robbers when he was in a store and handed him a toilet paper while he was in the toilet. And Big was shocked when he went out the toilet and he sees that the robbers are dead in the store. People of good civilians, they are alive, they're unharmed, and Big has no clue what just happened, and it was baffling to him. But that has inspired him to be the community hero, and he wanted to be a protection to the local community, to the Indians. So this is where we learned about one of the folklore, which is Deer Lady. Episode number 6, Hunting. This episode is where I truly think that Willie deserves her own episode, and it was very well presented. In this episode, I learned that important people who have left us has also left the best part of them with you, and they lived on forever with the things that you are doing today. And the greatest thing of this episode is that you can still see the best memories happening to them, where they managed to hunt down Chunk at the end of the day, where they used to see back then and wanted to hunt it down all along with Daniel and Willie Jack, but they didn't manage to do it together. And another folklore that was mentioned in this episode is the tall man. Willie's dad happened to encounter what is called a tall man, and he didn't exactly see it and he fainted, but he has a slight hint of what he encountered, which is what he deemed as tall man. Episode number 7, California Dreaming. And this episode, I learned that you have got to have the right time, the right luck to meet the right person in order to get things to work. And this episode struck me particularly different because Laura's experience is simply just how we are caught in life and we can fail over and over again in the same test. For her, that instance is her driving test, but an extra opportunity, a special one, just happened to came about and gave us or gave her a push through our challenges. That can be seen either as a network, an effort to help, or really just any favor that you are doing for the other person. Not only that, Laura also gets a lot more than just passing her driving exams. As a bonus, she also learned about her deceased mother from the driving instructor that happens to know her mom back then. The last and final episode, Saturday. And we could all agree that Laura and Indian mafia leader running away to California without Bear makes us slightly uncomfortable, because in this episode is where we can see that Willie Jack decides to stay with her family in Oklahoma. However, for Cheese, he looks at his grandma and he knows that she can't be alone, and that is also what matters to him. But for Laura, her memories with Daniel is what really pushes her to want to go to California, because it was Daniel's dream, it was also her dream, as well as everyone in the Res Dogs. However, people from Res Dogs happen to pull out from the plan, and she feels like the friends are not trustworthy, not reliable to stick together for the plan. And she also had an argument with Bear before going to California, and that is when she decides it's time to go with Indian Mafia instead. Hence, in this episode, it really makes me realize that we often go together with things that are aligned with us at the current moment, and we might always leave the things that are dear to us in our past in order to pursue things that are resonating and closer to us in present day. But we often neglected that things that are built over time, the trustworthiness and the reliability of friendship over the past feels more safe and more trustworthy. And the story ends just there, where Laura and Indian Mafia went to California together, leaving everyone else back in Oklahoma. And I am really keen to know what's gonna happen in season 2. This whole series has made me learn so much about the Native Americans, their culture, their folklore, their community, the terms that I've never heard before, the accessories and items that they believe, a whole bunch of knowledge that I've never learned about. And I strongly encourage Americans to watch that show to see a closer step of how your Native American or neighbors or people you're living with or sharing with the land, to learn more about them. And if you enjoy this video, kindly drop a subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon.